Okay, welcome to some more questions that test parallel structure. The more you do these questions, which are questions from the GMAT exam, an American exam, which really helps you understand parallel structure. These questions will go through step by step. I'll also mention point number 5, which I didn't really talk about in the first class on parallel structure, or the first 2 classes on parallel structure. And so I'll quickly mention that. But I want to remind you that in those first 2 classes, we went through coordinating conjunctions, lists, and usually coordinating conjunctions are used in lists, but they don't have to be. Lists don't have to have an and. They can be coordinated asyndetically, which means no and, no but, no coordinating conjunction. But when you see coordinating conjunctions, you've got a list. When you see a list, you've got a list. Anytime you've got a list, you're making a comparison. And so making comparisons or making lists, it's the same thing, guys. You need to use parallel structure and also correlative conjunctions, which join 2 parts together. They must join things. When you use a correlative conjunction, you're also making a comparison. And so all of these are comparisons, really, but it's perhaps easier to memorize all 4 to make sure that you don't miss the situations when you must use, or when it's highly advisable to use parallel structure. And number 5 is copular verbs, and we will see this in question 3. But copular verbs, when you've got a copular verb, and really I'm talking mainly about the verb to be. When you've got the verb to be in between 2 things, like to live is to suffer. Well, to live, you wouldn't say to live is suffering, or living is to suffer, because that wouldn't be parallel. We need a 2 plus infinitive is a 2 plus infinitive, or a gerund is a gerund. Yeah, living is suffering, something like that. But notice we repeat it in the next part. This is a very famous quote from Nietzsche. He's obviously he's very good at making really intelligent sentences and very interesting sentences. And so he said, to live is to suffer, and to survive is to find. Yeah, notice 2 plus infinitive is 2 plus infinitive, and so that's parallel. Now be careful here, because with the verb to be, I think some of you will think, oh well, hang on, so I can't say a noun is an adjective. I don't know, something like cooking is fun. Well, you can, okay, so be aware that you can. It really is just the 2 plus infinitives and the gerunds that must be balanced on both sides if you're going to use them on both sides. But you can certainly say, I am happy. That's 100% correct. And I is a pronoun, a noun, a thing, and happy is an adjective. And so please don't take what I'm saying too far and decide, okay, that's not parallel. I am happy is not parallel. It's 100% correct. I am happy, or cooking is fun, or the house is, I don't know, the house is, well, you can, the house is too warm, something like that. That's okay, it's correct. Okay, but be careful with 2 plus infinitives and gerunds. Make sure if you're using those on both sides of to be, that they are the same. Okay, so that's the one thing I'll mention about copular verbs. You don't need to worry about it too much, because it's the other situations in which there are more mistakes. But let's have a look at question 1, and yes, it's from the GMAT as always, and I will give you access on my website to many, many more of these questions, which really help you get your head around parallel structure. So, foods high in tryptophan, an amino acid that is a precursor to serotonin. Okay, so this part here, in between the commas, is an A positive, and an A positive is a noun phrase. That's a noun phrase, yeah, amino acid, and then we describe that noun with a relative clause. That is a precursor, which is a precursor to serotonin. Okay, and that relative clause describes the noun, and so this is just a noun phrase renaming tryptophan. Tryptophan is an amino acid that is a precursor to serotonin. So I just wanted to deal with what that interruption is. Always ask yourself, what am I dealing with here? Is it a noun phrase? Is it an absolute phrase? Is it a relative clause? And that will really help your parallel structure usage. So foods high in tryptophan, an amino acid that is a precursor to serotonin, can help people to fall asleep by reducing anxiety, relaxing the brain and in regulating the sleep cycle. Okay, and so the blue part is option A, but we have other options. We have option B, where we say by means of reducing anxiety, relaxing the brain, and the regulation of the sleep cycle. We have option C, which is foods can help people, foods high in tryptophan can help people to fall asleep by reducing anxiety, relaxing the brain, and regulation of the sleep cycle. Then we have option D, by reducing anxiety, relaxing the brain, and regulating the sleep cycle. And option E, by a reduction of anxiety, a relaxation of the brain, and regulating the sleep cycle.